The Poisoned Sky by Cornconic. The earliest example of my power I can remember is when I was 3 years old, sitting on a beach with my dad. We were staring out across the sea, watching the waves drift gently in the wind, just enjoying the moment. I was on his lap, slowly falling asleep, when the setting sun seemed to twist and bend before my very eyes as it descended beneath the ocean surface. Within moments, it had finished its transformation, taking the shape of a yellowish heart. Great bands of red suddenly pulsed across the sky, soaking through the clouds and stretching for miles and miles. I remember being awestruck at the silky smoothness of that colour, and the way it drifted outward, like waves washing against the shore. The next day, my dad proposed to my mother on what she always described as the happiest day of her life. These strange sunset visions would keep happening for years to come. Sometimes I would see a face materialise from behind a cloud, and soon it would appear in my day-to-day life. Other times, I'd watch weather patterns mirrored in the sunlight, from snow to floods to tornadoes. Once or twice a year, I would even see entire scenarios play out in stunning detail, like a movie being projected onto the sky. It was a power I'd always treasured, but never shared, no matter how much I wanted to. Though I fear that the time for sharing is over. Around a year ago, I was sat outside waiting for the sun to set, as I did every day. I live in the highest house of a particularly rural countryside area, with a once mesmerising view of the sunset. My mind was weary and aching for sleep that night, so I was half awake when I saw a sheet of pure black begin to creep over the horizon. It slowly washed around the curvature of the sun and began to erode the sky little by little, like an ink spill across a piece of paper. I could only watch as the darkness travelled further and further upwards, desperately willing it to stop. Black is never a good omen, and that night, I saw more blackness than in any of my previous visions combined. Since then, my sunset visions have ended, but the piercing blackness has remained, and instead of gradually fading away as I'd hoped it would, it has only occupied more and more space as time goes on. Just a few months after my initial vision, the blackness occupied an entire quarter of the sky. In June, that fraction doubled. It was totally surreal, like half the world was trapped in night, unable to break through to the morn. As the suffocating blackness grew, so did the turmoil of everyday life. I heard ever-increasing reports of war and conflict breaking out across the entire world. Riots, shootings, terrorist plots were constant. Food became short, as did drinkable water, and the worldwide climate took a turn for the worst. And although these struggles affected the entire planet, no one but me could see the cause. The earth was choking under the poisoned sky. The beautiful visions I saw when the sun still shone were replaced with foreboding nightmares that soared across the blackness. I saw only imagery of bombs, screaming children, ruined towns, and cities with bodies piling up by the thousands. There were bones, fire, mutilated corpses, starving families. Each vision seemed to be more terrible than the last. Today was the day when the blackness reached the other side of the world. There are sirens blaring constantly. I can hear people shouting from where I've barricaded myself in my room. Occasionally there's gunshots, but that doesn't matter anymore, because a few moments ago a mushroom cloud appeared on the horizon, and another, and another, and now all I can hear is screaming. To anyone that finds these scraps of paper at my skeleton long after the nukes have dropped, I'm sorry. Sorry that I didn't have the confidence to share my insight with the world. Sorry that I hoarded my visions instead of telling somebody, anybody, what I knew was happening. Maybe if I hadn't have been so greedy, the world wouldn't have suffered so much. I can feel the wind picking up through the broken windows. It won't be long now